You know, actually, we're counting the days. Pretty soon, we'll be talking about the minutes. Engaging the youth towards this election is what we'll be discussing with Jermaine Sanwo-Olu. He's a political strategist. Good to have you join us on the show.
Thanks for having me, Salai.
Well, great. You know, when we talk about young people and, you know, talk about women in politics and talking about young people, I think the focus this time comes towards what young people can do. And every time I see politicians and ask them sometimes, do you have your own thugs? And what comes to mind is young people. As a young Nigerian, what do you think is the perception of young people when we talk about engaging in political parties at the moment?
I believe young people in Nigeria have a lot to do when it comes to the transformation and the change agenda that this administration led by His Excellency Muhammadu Buhari is actually leading. They have a pivotal part to play in that administration, but they have to realize their power. I'm considering myself a young person, and I realized that when I was contesting for an election in the United Kingdom, there are two major parties there, the Labour Party and the Conservative Party. The youths realized that they had power, they had the potential to disrupt the political process, and what they went to do was that they did not step out of the political game or parties. They joined one of the major parties, and they were able to get Jeremy Corbyn in, who represented their interest. It was revolutionary. And I believe that for change to happen in this country, you should not just stand aside and say, we want to be on social media, tweeting, Facebooking, and talking from that angle. We need to get involved in the political process. Fortunately, I'm here in Nigeria in the political process, and I said I had to join a party that, represents my interest, and could actually be a vehicle for change and transformation.
And you joined the APC?
Definitely, I joined the APC.
We need to establish that because I needed my people to know that you're a member of the APC.
Yes.
So now I chuckled when you said something that has to do with the activities of young people, and you're talking about being active on social media. And does that bother you when you see, the vibrancy, you see the busy nature of young Nigerians in the social media? Does that also reflect what you see in parties like your membership of the APC?
Yeah, the APC is a party that is very inclusive. It's one that has brought young people on board. It's this administration that has brought the not too young to run bill and encourages young people to go into public office, elected office. And that shows that APC is a party.
But we haven't actually seen a lot of that.
Because
I'll give you an instance.
That's going to be a process that we'll get to.
For instance, I know someone, Rinsola Abiola. She was very active in the APC, and one would have thought she held the position amongst the youth. So one would have thought that your party would have actually given her the green light to contest an election, but it would seem as if she was shoved off.
Well, since
and she moved on to another political party.
We just had a preacher on the stage now, and I'll go back to the Bible. It says there's a time and a season for everything. So there's going to be a time for her when she will blossom and where she will take leadership and be an inspiration to this generation. That is going to happen. But the good thing about political leadership and political space that you have to learn the game. You can be active on social media, you can be active, which is actually a very, very good tool to engage. And for example, my cousin, my elder brother, my Egbon, Honorable Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu, he actually even realizes that power of social media, and he engages people, tweets to them, Lagos tweets, and he always listens to what people are saying. Because the youths are on that social media platform.
Because he's not there yet.
No. He's going to be there and he's going to continue. He has been someone who has had that lifestyle.
You really can't say he's going to continue because
years back till now.
I'm speaking from experience. I've engaged politicians for a long time. And I think there's this spirit, now you've been quoting the Bible, there's this spirit that takes over these minds when they get into office. And it's usually the spirit of not listening to anyone whether you're crying,
Well, the good
whether
thing,
you're complaining, because now he's active because he's seeking votes.
no, the good thing about Honorable Babajide Olusola is that he's a good Christian. He's a man of prayer, and you could be sure that no spirit will overcome his own spirit. He's going to continue that attitude of connecting, of engaging, of listening to the cries of Lagosians, of the kind of Lagos they want to develop. And that's why he's engaging social media, he's engaging youths, and he's saying that I have a plan for you young people, and it's going to better your life, and it's going to be for a greater Lagos.
I think so much about him because I really wouldn't want us to, because I really want to talk about the young people.
Yes.
And I think we started off pretty well talking about activism and the social media, and I still haven't been able to get an answer. Perhaps I should ask again. The kind of activities we see from young people in the social media, is that a true reflection of what it is in real life? Real life now, I'm meant to say your parties, when we have X, Y, Z number of people chanting change for the APC, is that a true reflection of their membership of the APC?
Well, we shouldn't undermine the power of social media and those influential voices that are on social media, and the ability that can transcend from a social space into this physical space. It is very, very possible. We've seen it happening all over the world. And right now, the youths have to realize their power. They have to actually go out there and vote and join these political parties. Now, you could be active on social media, you can speak out, and people could hear you there. But when it comes to the members on ground, these are grassroots people. Many people in the upper class, they're getting involved in politics. The middle class has to be encouraged more. But the people who are on the grassroots level are actually the ones who actually determine the affairs of this country, because they vote. They go out there to vote. They get their fingers dirty, get their shoes dirty. Now, if we can get in this coming elections, because more youths have registered to vote right now, if we can go out on the street and actually say we want to support the ruling party, we want to support a candidate that we believe can actually deliver change to our lives, then they will now be able to see the voice and the power of the youths, and they will now be taken even more seriously. The Lagos administration takes youth very more seriously, and we believe that change can be delivered even through the hands of youth.
When you go out, when you interact with the youth, because I think there seems to be some kind of disconnect among some, between the electorate and some of their representatives. And speaking to some of the youth, they're pained to see sometimes that their representatives don't live amongst them. How do you address that when you meet some of these people who are really pained that, hey, Jermaine, we can't see X, Y, Z. He doesn't live amongst us. So how do you sell him to us?
Well, I believe the best kind of leaders are those that connect with the people, those that, are able to feel the pulse, the heartbeat of the people who listen to what their constituents are actually going through. And I believe that more and more is getting better in Nigeria. It's going to start happening even more. You have many grassroots leaders who are able to rise up from being local government chairmen or even councillors, even ward leaders, and they will now get to higher positions of authorities. But Babajide Olusola is going to be someone who listens, someone who guides, who understands the voice of the people, and who's going to be there. And when you talk about even listening to people, it's not just physical, it's also online. That's why even in Lagos right now, you're going to be seeing, in fact, which has already been deployed, a lot of technological advancements, like the free Wi-Fi that is going on right now. So you can actually listen to people. People are online, they can send their tweets, they could send their emails, they could engage, and this will also have a ripple effect when it comes to creating opportunities for business, young entrepreneurs who are on the tech space, who can actually leverage on the benefits of that free Wi-Fi and technology and be able to boost their business and grow. From the grassroots level, is the 21st century, and we're going to a different dimension. So technology is very important, but also leaders connecting with the people to hear their voice is also even more important. And that what
Dr. Rosemary Ide spoke about the fears being nursed by some people, and the youth, honestly, is the key focus here, because sometimes they're usually used by those bad politicians to foment trouble. How do you engage these people, knowing full well that they're likely to be casualties either way?
Well, politics, I say, is amoral. It takes the shape or the character, whoever is in leadership, and whoever wants to aspire for that position. You must understand that I've not seen politicians personally use people as thugs, But if you say that happens, then maybe from your perspective it does happen. But what they must understand now is that rather than just being thugs, they should be tools, to construct a new Nigeria. They have the energy, they have the ingenuity. They have the creativity.
Are you saying
and
you haven't seen on live television police parading some young people, not old people, 9 out of 10 young people who were caught, fomenting trouble before, during, or after elections?
Well, people who are going to engage in crime or things, they do it. And I won't say a politician is responsible for that, but you've also seen the people parade positive people doing great things also in the community, and that shows the power of youth too. So there's going to be good and bad elements in the society.
But what do you tell them as a youth leader? Because I know you've been going around. As a youth leader, what do you tell them? Because haven't you met anyone who's all out telling you they want to really fight for you? I'm talking about physical fight. So if you should meet anyone here in Lagos, what should be your message to
Luckily, our campaign has actually taken the character of our great leader, which is a very, very calm, collected, very cerebral, and one that it has to do with ascertaining the message of doing whatever we can do for a greater Lagos. When I see young people like that, I say them, the actions you're going to take, is it going to be for a greater Lagos? The ideas you have, is it going to be for a greater Lagos? The plans for your future, every step that you take every single day, you should be thinking, how does this benefit Lagos as a whole? Don't just think about what Lagos or the Lagos state government can do for you. Think of how you can use your strength, your ingenuity, your creativity to better this lovely state that we call Lagos. That is the apple, is the apple of Africa's eye, and one day will be the apple of the world. If I must say, it's the apple of God's eye too.
Are you thinking of a better way, an ingenious way of monitoring activities of your members, especially during elections? Is there any kind of technology you're looking to bring in? Because if you say these ones who are troublemakers, because in all honesty,
supporters are troublemakers.
If you're saying those troublemakers that I mentioned, and you say they don't exist, and I say, if the police over the years have always shown us these people on live television, let's take it that they still exist. So how are you likely to help your young members, to take away this fear that I spoke about with Mrs. Ide, because that's the main thing that distracts the young people and even women from participating in active politics.
What I said earlier was that there will be good and bad elements in society. So as people are paraded for good things, they're also paraded for bad things. And it could exist, bad people in
and we need to win the good ones.
We need to win the bad ones.
Now, win the bad ones.
An influx.
You need to win the bad ones and make them good.
It's about influx of ideas, an influx of goodness coming into the whole sphere. People should not be afraid to engage in the political process because one or two people are, so to say, bad. It's that, evil rises when good men or good people do not do anything. So right now, what we must do is that if you have good ideas, if you have good plans, if you have novel things to make Lagos or Nigeria better, you need to get into the political process. We need hands and minds just like yours to transform the state to be what it's been. Don't be afraid. It's only the courageous, those who are mature in heart, who can actually take the destiny into the hands and actually ensure that we as a nation, we as a state called Lagos will actually get to that promised land. And Sanwo-Olu will do that for us.
Let's talk about the promised land as we coast, home. This is Lagos. And you have young people unemployed, and you have people who are also, complaining about how they woke up someday and they saw a dirty Lagos. You just might not agree because it's your party, but these are some of the challenges that I think, if you have a debate and your candidate is standing before Lagosians, these are some of the issues they will want him to address. Have you been thinking of better ways, or is there a discussion going on in your camp as to how to manage some of these problems?
You're absolutely right. These are challenges like every city faces, and Lagos is definitely going to overcome them. And I'm sure Honorable Sanwo-Olu has perfect answers. You know, he's researched, he's done, conducted research around the state in this past few months, and he's engaged people to find out what the problems are. And you're going to be seeing solutions being rolled out in the coming weeks, in the coming days, you know, even months, on how Lagos is going to be greater, cleaner, better than it is even right now. Obviously, you know, in every process, every transformative process, there are always teething stages. But you can be sure that Lagos is going to be better. You don't throw away the baby with the bath water. What is not going on right now, not too well, will be adjusted, will be looked at, and will prefer better solutions. But one thing that is really key about it, that is really passionate about, is recycling in Lagos. That if we as Nigerians and Lagosians can have a new attitude, a progressive one, that says let's start sorting our waste, not returning it to the landfill for people to sort, but from your own homes, start sorting out this waste as you do when you go abroad. You know, the green, the brown, the blue, the red boxes. Let's start doing it at home. Let's start orienting ourselves from the schools, from the homes, and you see that Lagos will start becoming greater. We've done it before during the football games tournament that came in the earlier parts of the 2000s. Lagos was clean, Lagos was beautiful, and I'm sure that Lagosians have that potential to live in a healthy, in a safe and a clean environment. But don't doubt this. Babajide Sanwo-Olu has a plan to make Lagos cleaner, make Lagos better, and most importantly, make Lagos greater.
Let's see if we can actually close on some of these issues. Two key things I'd like to bring in here, and it has to do with inclusive governance. Right. And for your party, some have accused them that they have young people when they go towards an election, and after the election, you don't get to see some of these young people come in, and what you see is still the old brigade.
Well, I could tell you that among his core team, there are a lot of young people around.
It happens, that's what I'm saying.
Yes, around his core team. And
it does happen.
Yeah.
Once they get sworn in, if and when they emerge victorious.
Yeah. And well, you see, even among his core team, as I said earlier, that he has a lot of young people there. Going into the administration, you know, he's even given a commitment, you know, he's even spoken about the possibility of having 50%, 15%, around 50% representation of youth in the administration in key positions. This is very important. This is transformative. This hasn't been done in the history of Lagos. That shows that he's really passionate about youth development, youth training, and most importantly, youth inclusivity in the governance process. Because we need fresh ideas to change the face of Lagos, to make Lagos great, you know, and that's what he's going to do. You can count on that.
And for the markets, that's my last one. I don't like markets. You lived abroad. Do you like what you see when it comes to markets in Nigeria, Lagos, especially when it rains? It
rains. Well, if you were to go to Rio de Janeiro, or you go to New York, or you go to London,
I've been to Rio.
They all take the shape of the character of.
No, I've been to the favelas in Rio, but I'm talking about Lagos. Let's leave a.
Yeah,
Lagos can be a model. Lagos can be a model for Brazil to.
It will be. That's our plan. Is that every market has its own shape. So you cannot compare what happens in Liverpool Street to what's going on in Isale Eko, in all those areas. It's not going to happen. But, however, we're going to make it better. We're going to make it more accommodating. Remember, we want to have a global Lagos, a Lagos that is beautiful, a Lagos that is welcoming, inclusive, not only to indigent, but also foreigners to come here and be able to shop on the streets of Lagos.
Jermaine, I thought by now the markets would have actually started looking, you know, in that direction, knowing full well the amount of money that comes out of our market, because I see some of the richest people are those who actually issue tickets to people in the marketplaces, whether you're giving to the bike riders or the cart pushers or the woman who sells, you know, in her cart. The amount they pay on a daily basis, one would have thought sometimes these will go into fixing the markets and make them look at least good like the farmers market you get to see outside the country.
Well, I'm sure those monies will be used, are being used.
I'm asking this because you talked about change and you're talking about greater Lagos,
Well,
and that's one of the things that will make
yes,
Lagos great
yes,
or greater.
It's change is not just about one destination, it's a journey. It's a process. And we are getting here, getting there. Lagos State has a plan, to have all these things. Look at what's going on with the rail system right now. The roads are being built, things are moving forward. The markets, even look at Teju Market. I remember when I was in Lagos 10, 15 years ago, Teju Market wasn't like that. It was a different thing. But now it's being changed. And I'm sure that model is being replicated in various places. So I'm sure we are all passionate about Lagos. We want to see Lagos be better, be greater, and we just have to be involved in that process. We need to go out and vote for the candidate who can deliver a greater Lagos for us all, and that's Babajide Sanwo-Olu.
Have you tried the trains?
I've not tried the trains yet, but I'm going to do that.
Oh my God, you're missing out.
I need to get in. I just got back from the UK, but I'm going to be trying that and see what's happening.
Try the first. All right. That's not an ad for them. Many thanks
Okay.
for being on many thanks for being on the show.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's a wrap on Political Stew. Is just in case if you haven't tried the train, I have a lovely train ride from one point to the other. I think you should give it a try. But again, we'll hope that we'll have someone that would hoping to bring on the program especially for you next week. See you again.